Hi, everybody. This is Joelyn. Want to welcome everybody here this morning. This is Joelyn from WonHeart TV, and we're back. Oh my gosh, there's so much to talk about. Hi, everybody. This is Joelyn. Want to welcome everybody here this morning. I'm going to turn off YouTube so I can talk. There you go. It's been a year and I have to figure out Zoom, but it's all good. And I want to welcome you this morning, all of you, for tuning in. This is a topic dear to my heart, and it has been for several years now. As you know, I did anti-bully programs and started WonHeart to bring compassionate type tools for the children through music. And in regards to that, when things shut down in 2020, I realized that I had met all these incredible women, and I wanted to talk about our heart, our mind, and our body connection, plus children, and as well as the planet. It's all part of what I love to talk about. So in so doing that today, I've got a guest that I'd like to introduce to you, Tanya Thomas. Welcome, Tanya. I just want to say a few things about you. My gosh, I love it. Okay, Tanya Thomas has a BA in Child and Adolescent Development, as well as certifications in other areas. For 22 plus years, she's been supporting, teaching, and guiding and collaborating with parents and team members to support individuals with disabilities, mainly the Autism Spectrum Disorder. Tanya currently works in a public school and a supervisor parent consult for an in-home agency. She's volunteered with homeless children and teens and is passionate about both the parents and individuals she works with. Her approach in every case, I love this, her approach in every case is to not judge, but to hold a compassionate and open heart with a determination to support in any way she can. Welcome, Tanya.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. So I'll start with a little background, what got me into this.
Please do.
I come from, a troubled childhood, but a success story. So I basically moved out of my mother's home for good reasons when I was 15, and still was determined to graduate from high school. It was a struggle, but I did it, and I didn't get into trouble or anything like that. I kept on the straight and narrow. Well, the reason I'm telling you that is it was a big draw for me to the homeless children, any underdog, really, any child who from any background, whether it's special needs, homelessness, child abuse, all of those things were a draw for me. So when I was 18 and I graduated from high school, I enrolled at Orange Coast College to start my transition to become a child psychologist. Well, I got pregnant with my first son a few years later, and that stopped that track. And I went full force into being mom. And then, I had my second child. And so motherhood for a long time was my main thing, my main focus, really to be the mother that I always wanted and that I wanted to be for my boys. So as they got older and more independent, I was volunteering all the time in their school because I do just love children. And I was drawn to the special education classrooms and the children there on the playground, and found myself to be very comfortable with them. Well, as my boys got older and didn't need me to be quite so involved in their lives anymore, I went back to school. And finished it off. And that's when I kind of fell into autism, specifically because I was working at the time for the school. Newport Mesa is where I work, by the way. I didn't put that in my bio, but I fell into it while I was working part-time while my boys were in school, and I was going back to school myself. And I felt they offered training in autism. And so I took them up on it. And that's where I kind of geared my college education towards that specifically. But along those roads, before I even started school, I was bored when the boys were in kindergarten and when they were at school and they were away. And I don't do, I'm very humanitarian. So I thought, I watched the special on Motel Children, and it really struck me And it had an opportunity at the very end. If you wanted to volunteer, you could with the children. So I signed up for that. Little did I know you have to go through the Orange County Health Department. You have to have all this training because abused children don't hear things. And so my first training was really that. It was learning how to deal with, how to help abused children, because they don't hear things. They hear everything as criticism. So I went through 9 months of training doing that. And then I volunteered with homeless and abused children, which was very challenging, sometimes, most times heartbreaking, but rewarding, because, they do really look forward to the meetings, and they do look forward to seeing you, as I was told, were their stability. So I did volunteer doing things like that before, I'm backtracking a little bit, before I got into actually going back to college. So then fast forward, I just decided, hey, kids are it. I love animals. I love children. So kids are it. I'm going for kids. And so this is what's landed me here. Over the years, I've taken, individual courses to brush myself up, because everything's always changing, the way we teach children with disabilities and everything. So I brush my skills up. My personality, I think, is that I think what's really I've been gifted with is an intuition. And I think you can have all the textbook learning in the world, but if you don't have that intuition for what any person, not just a child, any person is going through, and some of us are just gifted with understanding. Like, I see parents and I can see they're ready to fall apart behind the scenes. I've always been able to feel that about people. And so my gift is with autism, when children can't speak, especially, is kind of finding out what makes them tick and getting in there and trying to communicate with them non-verbally. And no, I'm not a saint. I get that a lot, and I'm not. I'm not at all. They are, but I've been given a gift, and I've chosen to use it. And so, so that's my background. And I've worked in home with parents and children. I've supported interventionists and written goals in there in home. The thing that I didn't like about that was that I wasn't as hands-on with the children anymore. So it was another adult with a child, and I was kind of more training and going along with the parents on trips, but training somebody. I really like to work with my kiddos. So so I worked for Newport Mesa. That was Love to Learn agency, and I did leave Love to Learn about, I want to say, 6 or 7 years ago. And I decided to stick with the position that would allow me to really be with the children more.
Kind of a hands-on.
Yeah, the hands-on, exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
So, here's what drew me to you. And we met through the grief recovery class, and I just love that class. I'm always about it.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming on again, Tanya. When I heard that you have background in the childhood area and in the schools and so forth, what brought things to my attention was 3 years ago, when friends of mine, when everything shut down, a lot of my friends that worked at the schools that I knew personally were really in fear base for these children, because they were in homes that were very, I'll admit, very destructive, not healthy families, all in one home for this long period of time. And they were, when the schools reopened, things started to take a turn for the worse. These kids were really lagging in a lot of areas. Can you talk about some of the areas you might have seen lately that you've seen have been damaging to kids since we locked down?
I absolutely can. So what I've seen is you touched on something that before the lockdown, we were already struggling as a society. We were seeing a change in family units in the schools, and we were seeing more behaviors. When the lockdown happened, it really put a crunch on everybody. And I think the thing that, there's a lot of talk about mental health for children, but I think what we're seeing is that parents are having a mental health crisis as well. They're struggling. They're working more than ever and not getting very far. And they're overtaxed. They feel stressed. They feel panicked. They feel worry. There's been a push I don't know if I can say this, but a push on, taking anti-anxiety meds and things like that to deal with all of the stressors in life. And I'm not passing judgment on that, but I am saying that when you do what you have to do, but these things do alter our kind of connectiveness with each other. And so what happens is you're just kind of like, it numbs you and it makes you feel better in the time, but then the children are kind of suffering, and so are parents. Both of them are. And parents are kind of disconnecting because they're stressed, and children are kind of getting lost in the shuffle. And it's really, that's where my compassion lies, because it's really, I don't want to put blame on parents. Yes. Could they do more? Of course they could. Of course they could talk to their children more. Of course they could put down their phones more and sit and have a dinner conversation. But I'm not passing judgment, because life is hard for everyone right now. And the lockdowns affected adults and children. And I think that we're all doing the best we can. But I think if we can come together and talk about ways we can be better without judgment and without pointing fingers, the children are going to grow up a lot safer, happier, and more successful.
I think with the anti-anxiety medication, that's just the Band-Aid. I used to say that about the anti-bully. You're dealing, you can do the programs, but you really got to get to the root cause.
Absolutely, Joelyn. That's exactly
the root cause of our children crashing. Here's something I wrote down. A 2021 CDC survey conducted on 17,000 high school teenagers found nearly a third of teen girls said they had seriously considered suicide, up to nearly 60% from a decade ago. One young woman said, as my screen time increased, my mental and physical health suffered. Do you think screen time, if that's all you're on?
100%. And I see it every day because it's a struggle. And in the schools, the kids always have phones, especially in junior high and high school. And I will tell you, I deal with a wide variety of students, not just special needs. And I have a little group of girls. And back to the suicide thing, one of them was like, I don't even know why I'm alive. And she said things like that. And I said, you know what? I need you to talk to me about this. And I need for you to tell me if I need to get someone that you can speak to, because I can't let this go. And she said, oh my gosh, Miss T. No. And I said, well, I don't know, I don't know if maybe you're not feeling it today. I don't know if you're struggling. I want to help you. And I am hearing comments like that, Joelyn. I'm hearing younger than ever children doing drugs to Band-Aid themselves. I'm hearing a lot of confusion, and I absolutely 100% think that screen time is it. I don't have social media, and I see the kids all the time coming into class, scrolling TikTok. In between class, they'll just be scrolling TikTok, scrolling for Instagram, looking and comparing themselves. You hear, they look at these people who are edited and filtered. And I tell them this. I said, you know what? All of it's fake. It's just not, there's some real, but who cares? Tell kids it's all fake. I had a girl in 6th grade come up to me and say, Mrs. T, what happens if you drink bleach? And I said, oh, don't ever drink bleach. No, nothing good can come of that. And she said, oh, really? There's somebody on TikTok drinking bleach and it didn't do anything to them. And I said, they are drinking water. That's not real. Don't believe that stuff. But the problem is that these children are more connected to screens than they are their parents. And so, back in the day, kids would know these things because kids did chores. They cooked with their parents. They were around their parents. Now they're on a screen, and that is teaching them. That's forming their little brains. And
so their peers, their peers are basically teaching them how to grow up, which seems backwards for sure.
Yes.
Going along with what you reported about that young girl, I found a little thing that just broke my heart. TikTok pushed 2 young girls into wrongful deaths after they wanted to become famous from a dangerous trend of choking themselves to death. Like your bleach story. This is just one of many. And I do know the social screen time is off the charts, did not help the children. And then you've got lockdowns.
Yes.
Where they're locked with that. And, they didn't get to be with their friends or talk with each other. So all of these things have definitely been pushing kids, I would say, would you say into homelessness as well?
As you were speaking,
Why?
I was thinking of that. I was
Why?
thinking how many kids came back and were homeless, whether they were with parents, or they were in foster homes, because during the lockdowns, a lot of people lost their jobs. And as much as we'd like to think that everybody came back from it, not everybody did. And, and this rent, the rent and the rent, in California, they had a program for, waiving the rent. Well, that didn't always work as it was, we watch things on the news and we believe it, but it didn't work for everybody quite that way. If you didn't fill out the application correctly or in time or, and so we do see a lot more homelessness, and we see parents in crisis and we see children in crisis. But really, the biggest thing that I think I would like to say is that parents and children could benefit a lot from putting down the screens and spending time together, because that doesn't cost money. And sure, you can even be homeless, but you can be there for your child and be with them and reach out to the resources. Like a lot of people, what we're also seeing is a lot of parents are too embarrassed, or they feel guilty and they don't want to, take advantage of resources that could help. Never feel too proud to take advantage. Everybody falls and we're all here to help each other up. And, as far as COVID and the lockdowns, the change that I saw was that when it became very big that children weren't safe at home and they were more stressed out than ever, what highlighted for me is I thought to myself, back in the day, school wasn't really that important. It was parents were more important. Now we've become such an economy driven society that we've kind of lost base with relationships. And I think that's really where it's going, Joelyn. I think that friendships are hard for kids. I watch the friendships, how they change. They don't have the same kind of bonded friendship that you and I grew up with, where everybody just hung out and, we had our group and we mingled and everybody had fun.
Played.
Yeah.
We
played. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. These kids stay inside. And that's another thing. The world feels unsafe to parents. And so parents think they're doing the right thing by keeping them inside.
That's true.
Safe from the world. And I have 7th grade girls that tell me they're not allowed to hang out with each other because their mom feels they're going to get raped. Their dad is too protective, doesn't want people in the house. And everybody is so fearful right now of each other.
I say, fear is false evidence appearing real. And it's true. It's true.
Yes.
So, you brought up some really good points. Okay, so we know screen time was a damage. We know lockdowns plus screen time made the child more isolated, more detached, lack of friends. We have lack of even lagging behind in their development. I mean, this is crucial because, and their imaginations. You don't get out and play and create forts and, whatever you were building or doing, that creativity is out the door. And the biggest thing I think that I'm really latching onto, because it's dear to my heart as an adult, is this sense of lack of purpose with kids and teens and even adults. What are your thoughts on this? Could this be something?
That is huge, because, the thing is that so let me gather my thoughts here. So when I was a child and I was learning I was doing chores and I was cleaning and my mom was teaching me how to cook, or maybe she just let me loose in the kitchen. I mean, I remember times I was just in there experimenting and making horrible things, but I was still cooking, attempting it. And so, but I went off the basis of her kind of showing me, right? Or my grandparents, whoever showed me, I learned from that. Well, kids aren't doing that anymore, Joelyn. And so what we're finding is that they did a study also in Britain in 2021, and only 24% of 18-year-olds knew how to fry an egg. And I was like, I can't even imagine that. That's crazy to me, but it's true. But what happens is, for one thing, parents are busy. So there's more eating out now, right? Kids are not expected to do chores. We asked in 6th grade we asked the kids one time, chores came up in the reading, and the kids were like, oh, somebody asked, what's chores? And then the teacher asked, well, how many of you have chores? And the kids, like a couple raised their hand, and a lot of them were like, no, I don't have chores. And it's like, parents feel guilty. I think this is my thought. Parents spend so much time at work and their kids are in after school daycare because they're working, and then they get them home and they don't want to make them do things, but it's not making them do things. And so I think the lack of a sense of purpose is because we don't do things for ourselves. And so children and teens feel good when they're part of the household. They feel good when they're doing chores. They feel good when my kids did, they feel good when there's a sense of purpose at home and they carry that out into life. And there's this, you get them involved in things. When I was volunteering for animal rescues, my sons were, I think they were 13 and 16, and they went all the time with me. And that became their passion as well, not because I force it on them, but it is their passion today. And so that's an example, but doing things and encouraging your children to follow their interests. But if they're on the screen all the time, seeing what everybody else is doing and everybody else's vacation and what everybody else is wearing, they're forgetting about themselves. They're not finding who they are.
Yeah, they compare themselves with
right.
other people. And we as adults do that too. There's that shadow part of us that they're better over there than we are. So we've got to do, and I can't help but think, growing up, my mother put me in a lot of different things. I think she was trying to help. I loved music, and that's what I wanted to be, was a rock star, but she still put me into different things and volunteering. And I think it was a way to add to the idea, because once you hit a senior and you're ready to graduate, a lot of kids back when I was in school didn't know what they wanted to do. Now it's even worse.
Yes.
You've got kids that are so into this apparatus, they forgot. I think nature is a big one.
Yeah.
Getting your babies into nature.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. First, there's something I want to end on for sure, but one of my things is, what can you suggest to parents? I mean, this is a major crisis that we've got children lagging behind. We've got children, lockdowns did not help anything. And what can we do for the babies so they don't take their lives, because they're so needed on this planet, Tanya?
And I think to make them feel, I think they feel invisible. And this is a lot of the feedback that I've gotten. And when they talk to me, and they talk to me all the time, and they even want to follow me out to lunch, they don't have people at home, is what I'm hearing, that they can talk to. Parents are too busy, too stressed. I don't know. I'm not going to make it to you. Whatever the case may be, these kids are telling me they don't have people they can talk to. Okay. And so I think what parents can do is remember when we were children, and remember that the world is different now, but we need to give our kids back as much as we can of what we remember that was good. Because the thing I tell the kids that I work with, and all the kids that I come into contact with, I say, this world, this future is yours. You don't give up, because they're very school meaningless. And you're right. They don't have a purpose. School is meaningless. I'll just be a TikTok, whatever. Oh, the world's going to end by 2050. They played a Netflix video for the 7th graders. And in the video, it said, it was about climate change. And it said, in 2050, we won't have our planet. We won't have water on this planet. And I was like, what? We shouldn't be showing these kids this. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what are we putting into their minds? How do we expect them to feel like there's a future, or to have purpose, or
putting fear?
Yes. And I'm like, so, if I was to tell parents, don't let your kids on the screen so much. There is a way to block them. I know it's very hard, but you can take it away sometimes by filling it in with time with you. Talk to them. Don't let them be terrified the world's going to be over by 2050, because they quite honestly will not want to live. They will, if they're going to be 30 by the time the world's over, and that's just one negative thing that's being fed to them. There's a ton of things. And we have to start giving them hope and positivity and belief and this world is theirs, and they can have a future. And like you said, exploring nature, that was one thing I did every summer with my boys. I was fortunate enough, not to have to work, and I used to go up to Malibu and go hiking in the go to the parks with them, and we used to take drives, and the Back Bay, we used to do all kinds of nature things, and we love nature. And I think that parents can do more of that with their kids, and in the process, they're going to find that their stress is relieved as well. They're going to find that their anxiety is less. They're going to be.
I think for parents too, I'll add.
Yeah.
Turn off your news. Okay.
Yes.
News is absolute poison.
Yes.
So there's many factors. Again, going back to WonHeart's philosophy, it's a mind, body, and heart connection. So the mind is the knowledge, and the heart, and the body part of it is also, you're big into eating vegan, and that's a whole other topic. So,
Yes.
but just getting them off the processed foods, which is actually, I think, doing something to their brain. I really believe this.
And you can be on processed foods and be vegan too. Don't do it.
But the adults going through drive-throughs, and if you go to your organic garden and start to eat healthy, foods, eat from the outside of the grocery store. That's a start.
I love that one.
Start. I just saw something this morning on Facebook. Somebody said a bunch of Cheerios in this field that she's been watching were dumped. Somebody spilled them. Do you know, Tanya, that those Cheerios for weeks have still stayed there? No animal, no bird, no anything has gone down to eat those Cheerios. So,
my gosh, that's
just
scary.
a thought for you to think about.
That's a great thought.
If an animal is not eating them, critter is desperate enough to eat Cheerios, and I see Cheerios as the passive food.
Yes,
for children all the time. Stop.
Yes.
Give them carrots. Oh my gosh, give them something different so it builds their taste buds. So I'm big on food, but the heart is for parents to sit and listen. And maybe if I could add, do you think, don't just listen. Don't.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
What do you think about that?
I that is the biggest key right there is listen to your child, love who they are. Don't worry if they're like you. Don't worry if they're completely different. Just, when my boys were growing up, and they're very different, my two sons are very different. I reveled in both of them. One of them, I had things in common. The other one had things that were never part of my personality. And I learned so much, Joelyn, because they were people, individual people, and they were so fascinating to watch grow. And I was gifted with being able to raise them, that was a gift. And I think parents absolutely need to listen. Just listen to your children, enjoy your children, and you're going to find a relationship that is like no other. But I will say, I am big on food too, because especially in the, special needs, food is big, food is important. Always.
It always, and it connects, it's food for the brain. I mean, really, food is for the brain, and especially the gut. So that's a whole nother topic you and I could probably go on.
Exactly.
I'm very passionate about it. My last thing, Tanya, and I really appreciate your time. I always like to do these in small increments so people can take in the information. One last thing, though, that I'm really big on lately, and I may have to just figure out how to get back into the schools, is how getting children and adults, the way to healing is an inside job. It is clearly not from the outside in, meaning the social media, the big, the pill that could fix anything is all a facade to me. It is still an inside job. And I just wonder what you might think about that. If you could add anything about, is there stuff you've been doing with your
what I'm seeing in the schools, that the people that are making a difference with the kids from the kids' perspective, I got some beautiful letters. I received really, really beautiful letters from some of the students for Staff Appreciation Week. And they were very moving and touching. And one of them said, you're like a teacher, a parent, a friend. And there was like 4 roles: a mentor, a therapist. And I thought, do you know what I do, Joelyn? I listen. I don't judge. I don't, unless there's harm. And I tell them this, unless you're going to harm yourself or someone else, or there's illegal substances involved, that I will have to take on. But anything else you tell me, any other ideas, you feel it's silly, they feel embarrassed, that whatever, they can talk to me. They can talk to me, and I'm an open board, and I listen and I accept them. And I tell them when I'm worried about them. I think the key is just genuine care. Like, I really, I hear a lot of like, oh, I love you. I love you. I love you in the schools. Oh, we love you guys, but I love them. And kids know, they know who really, really cares, and they know who they can go to. And I agree with you. I think that's where the healing is from inside, is that we really need to, it's inside, but it's not an individual task. I don't believe. I think it's all of us. And I think whether it's kids in your neighborhood, in your family, they don't have to be your own children. It's
Right.
caring about children. We've lost an appreciation for children, and children make the world go round. We've all been children. Many of us have children. Many of us have children in our family. We definitely have children in our neighborhood. I mean, they're a future generation. Every generation determines what our world is going to look like in the future. So why wouldn't we put everything 100% into making these children feel hopeful, secure, and loved? And so I think in the schools, I think the main thing that they say makes a difference for them is having that person they can go to. And I know that I'm not the only one, because they've told me about other teachers and staff that they go to. And I think you can do that in the community. Parents should be those people. If they can't, that's fine. We're here, but they should try, because it's very healing. It's very healing to have that kind of exchange with children, to make that kind of difference.
I think children go to you and many of your other friends, because they feel safe too.
Yes.
So what I'm getting is,
yes,
put your listening ears on,
yes,
take the fixing and put it out the door. Just listen
yes,
to them. Don't fix them. You don't have to. That should take a lot of pressure off you. Number two,
yes,
give them a safe place to do this.
yes,
Don't turn around and use it on them. That would be
yes,
horrible.
yes,
Get their bodies nutritionally fed correctly.
yes,
Get them out in nature. Get them out in
yes.
nature.
And guide them.
Yeah,
I don't criticize them, but I guide them. I definitely,
Right.
I guide. They tell me things and I guide. And I think that's really what's lost here, is they can't just live, they can't just grow like flowers. And even flowers need food, but they have emotions, and the world is a really scary place for them, and they feel forgotten. And I think, they need love, and they need understanding, acceptance, and they need guidance. They don't need discipline. And what I believe, and it's probably from being a behaviorist for so long, but behavior, even violent behavior, even angry behavior, is communication. It's all communication. So instead of villainizing these children who are acting out and angry, look at it more like, okay, what are they asking for? And that's one of the things I do in my area. That's one of the things I do in my area. Your child might be acting out. They might be angry. They might be doing things that, are not okay. But what are they asking for? Because it's not the way they want to feel. And we have to remember that that's not what they're choosing. They're not choosing to feel that way. There's something going on.
Yeah. There's always something going on.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my gosh, this has been great. I know this could go on, and I just so love and appreciate you coming on. And Tanya, you're down south in California area.
I am. Costa Mesa. Yep.
Costa Mesa. Okay. Is it hot there?
Today's pretty nice. It's about 79 today. The humidity is high, but yeah, it's much better than it's been. So today's
okay,
pretty
good.
nice.
All right. I so appreciate you, and so love meeting you in our group.
Likewise.
Yeah. So thanks again. I think we've got some food, really inside food to think about for parents. Yeah, I really appreciate that. All right. Well, this is Joelyn from WonHeart TV. Please go to oneheartinfo.org, where you can you can see this video and share it. It'll be uploaded today, as well as many other videos with people in their perspective fields of what they know. And that's what I love. I get to talk to all these beautiful women who have got it going on. And you are one of them. Thank you again.
Thank you, Joelyn.
Everybody have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you in the near future. Thank you again, Tanya.
All right. Thank you.